The mainstream media is finally admitting what many YouTubers have already been talking about for years now, that Disney's live-action Snow White was going to be a catastrophic financial failure for Disney. And here we are with Forbes writing this article. How much does Disney's Snow White need to gross to break even? And guess who is featured in this? None other than our boy Valiant Renegade. Right here it says the highlighted part. It brings the total cost to around $300 million, which is almost precisely in line with the estimate from expert film industry pundit Valiant Renegade, who assessed back in September of 2023 that Disney's Snow White remake would cost $300 million. That's right. Round of applause for Valiant Renegade. And he actually has a video that we're going to check out right now over on his channel. If you have not, he's almost to 90,000 subscribers. Go support Valiant Renegade. I made a video about a week ago where I had the title $300 million loss, Disney mad at Rachel Zegler. And I had people in my comments saying, you're lying. You're lying. It's not going to lose anywhere near that. This is the budget. It's because they love the mindless zombies out there that will just repeat their nonsense and repeat the narrative. This is why pages like Culture Crave have me blocked and Discussing Film has me blocked. Do you know why? Because they love to put this nonsense out here about what's going on with Captain America DEI world. You had someone here in the replies says, IMDb says otherwise. There was $200 million before the reshoots, extra casting, and delays. Then Culture Crave comes back and says, well, the Hollywood Reporter debunked that story because, of course, the Hollywood Reporter, very trusted source, apparently. And they blocked me. You see my hidden comment right here. They blocked me because I called them out on their bullshit, because all they want is they want the access that Disney's going to give them. That's all they want. They're not there to tell you the truth. They're there to say whatever Disney tells them to say so they can maintain the access. People like Valiant Renegade, people like me, people like Gary, people like Ryan from RK Outpost. We just want to tell you what's going on because all we ultimately want is good movies. And if you give us good movies, that's all we're really worried about. That's it. Give us good movies, and that's all we're going to do is tell you made a good movie. We'll break it down, but we're tired of the political propaganda. Let's listen to what Valiant has to say right here in his video.
Disney's live-action remake of Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, has crashed, handing Disney shareholders what is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a $300 million loss on this film. Woo! And to make matters worse, that's the second entry this year so far that has bombed. And collectively, so far in 2025, Disney is starting its theatrical run roughly $500 million in the hole.
That's according to a number crunch by prominent YouTuber Valiant Renegade, who argues that many of Disney's recent so-called hits barely broke even or flat out tanked.
Let me explain.
Let's go. Valiant getting the mention. We appreciate that. I love seeing people like Valiant, getting their respect because he's a numbers cruncher. He's been ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff, and it's glorious to see right now, and the shills are very mad, as they should be.
Valiant Renegade, it's good to see all of you out there once again, and if you are like one of the many watching this video not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray.
Definitely subscribe to Valiant.
Hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Make sure to join us every Sunday and Wednesday afternoon right here for the live show. As if things weren't bad enough for Snow White, it's gone from bad to worse. Now, not only did the second weekend collapse nearly 70% from its opening weekend, tragic in and of...
And that's a nearly 70% drop already from a terrible opening weekend. You can't properly put that into words how bad this is. We're talking Marvel's level bad. This is worse than any of us expected. I am loving every single second of this.
Of itself. But now, a random Jason Statham action movie, which was largely panned by audiences, managed to beat it. A Working Man came in with $15.2 million as of estimates right now from Amazon and MGM Studios. And Disney's Snow White a full $1 million behind it at 14.2. That now brings the total for Snow White thus far to $66 million domestically. Now, to put that into perspective, that's only about $24 million for the entire week for Snow White, from Monday through today, Sunday. The full 10-day total now at 66.8, as we mentioned, and the international box office itself only climbed about $30 million additionally.
Yeah, the international box office has been incredibly bad. Now, a lot of these live-action Disney movies really get elevated by the international box office. Like Mufasa, for instance, really got elevated by the international box office. Snow White is bombing everywhere because everyone hates Rachel Zegler. Everyone.
In the previous 7 days. This movie is done. And just to be clear, this movie has opened in every single major international market. There's nothing left out there for it to clock in at. And back to our chart comparing some of the most, comparable movies to Snow White, at least in terms of release date and things that have come from Disney that were of similar stature. Let's take a look at how bad things are now. We've got Rachel Zegler's Snow White. We've got The Little Mermaid. That is, of course, the Halle Bailey 2023 live-action remake of it. Dumbo, Captain America Brave New World, The Marvels, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And if you look there at the second Sunday, the only movie that Disney's Snow White has managed to thus far surpass is The Marvels.
The Marvels.
But not by very much.
Now, if you remember, The Marvels did, its total box office run was, I think, like 205 or 207 or something like $1 million. This was a follow-up to the $1 billion Captain Marvel movie. And it hit $200 million worldwide because, once again, the fans were right.
Only about $2 million in domestic box office. Little Mermaid stands out the strongest at this point in its run at nearly $187 million domestic. That's right. The Little Mermaid live-action remake of 2023, the one that still lost Disney probably somewhere around $150 million or so. Yeah, 3 times the box office for that remake compared to where Snow White is currently.
Oof.
Dumbo, a movie that was a complete failure for Disney, is $10 million ahead at the same point in time. Captain America Brave New World, where Disney lost roughly $200 million, if not more.
Now, I know Culture Crave wants to tell you that didn't happen, but the facts remain. And the only reason they would block people like me is because they don't want the truth out there, because they want that access from Disney. So don't listen to what clowns like that have to say, because they're lying in order to get access.
On that one is more than double where Snow White is right now. The Marvels, as we said before, at $65 million roughly, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, $167 million at this point, directly above my screen here. That's more than 2.5 times where Snow White is presently. Now, as a reminder, according to Disney's own financial filings in the United Kingdom, this production had already spent nearly $280 million US. If we do a simple conversion from Great British pounds on this report to US dollars today in March of 2025. And, of course, they've got some film tax credits coming back from there of several tens of millions of dollars. But $280 million was the gross spend on this film, but only through the end, December 31st of 2023.
Jeez.
And again, when you see those positive integers there for tax on loss, that is the money that this production received back from the British government, or in other words, the UK taxpayers out there, for the film tax credits on this film, roughly 45 million British pounds. So what did Disney spend in the previous 15 months since that report was filed? Well, I promise you it was a whole lot more, and we've been speculating very comfortably that that figure is going to easily exceed about $100 million US. And it may be another 6 to 12 months before we see the next report, hopefully sooner than that. And it may be another year after that before we see what may be a final report for this film. It's kind of like filing taxes here in the United States. You do it once a year, so there's always a delay on getting the actual final data. But no matter how you slice it, this is...
And that's the thing is this is probably why you're starting to see articles like Forbes. They're finally like, I guess they're probably tired of covering for Disney, because these are lies. They are lying to the public. And then you have all of these zombies that will run with this, like I mentioned. And it is unbelievable that pages like Culture Crave and Discussing Film and all of these other pages that claim they hate Elon Musk, yet they pay for blue check marks and gold check marks just so they can get as much ad revenue as they can based off the tweets interactions that they get. But they're just lying to people straight up. And you have these people that are just so misinformed. And then when people like us are calling it out due to the facts and not just the bullshit that's being spread out there, all of these people are clueless to this. They're like, no, it made money. What are you guys talking about? Rachel Zegler is a star. Rachel Zegler is a megastar. I'm like, no, that's not the case. Disney is lying to you, and you have paid shills that are lying for them.
This is a humiliating defeat for Disney, or at least another humiliating defeat.
Another
for Disney.
one, yeah.
The second one of this year. And that brings us back to our initial point. Roughly a $300 million loss on this film, Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler. But that's not all, because we've got Captain America Brave New World that is still basically hanging on in the box office for reasons unknown. But that movie is going to be largely disappeared in the next few days with the release of the Minecraft movie. Now, say what you want about how it looks. It's probably still going to draw, more than likely, a bigger audience than Snow White, and maybe even bigger than Captain America Brave New World.
I think that's probably true. And maybe he'll get into the budget for Minecraft. I'm going to see Minecraft. I'm actually genuinely interested, not because I'm a Minecraft fan. I've played it a few times. It's not really my cup of tea. But I am interested because Minecraft is the biggest video game in the world. And this movie does not look good at all, but it is Minecraft, and it's huge. And I don't understand Minecraft. I don't understand the fascination with it, but it's massive. And I think that this movie is going to be a huge discussion point. I absolutely do. Will it make more than Captain America Brave New World? I think it probably will. I think, and I haven't heard what Valiant has to say about this, I think Minecraft has a shot at making $500 million worldwide. And that's me looking at it and thinking the movie doesn't even look good. If it turns out to be good, which I'm not really sure how that's possible, it could make more.
Because Captain America Brave New World currently sits at about $406 million globally in the box office. That's going to bring somewhere around $200 million or so back to the Walt Disney Company on average between domestic and international. And between its production cost and also its global marketing spend to put this film into theaters, that totaled somewhere probably around $400 million for the Walt Disney Company. Again, don't pay attention to the ridiculous $180 million budget figure that keeps showing up out there on all these bot and marketing farms. That's a figure that Disney probably initially greenlit 4 to 5 years ago when this film was set into motion.
Before the reshoots.
Not what the final cost was when this movie made it to theaters, because they had a lot of reshoots and a lot of post-production do-overs, especially in terms of VFX. And that's just not how it works when it comes to initial budgets versus final costs. They're always going to go up when you do that much rework. So yes, you can expect easily roughly another $100 million for this film, because even when Disney budgets these things with greenlit money, like $180 million, they're typically forecasting the tax credits that they're going to receive back, meaning they even initially probably planned to spend more than $180 million and then calculated that maybe $40 to $50 million would be recovered in tax credits to get them down to a net spend of $180 million.
And what you're probably going to see is you're going to see a much different push when it comes to Captain America, Black Captain America. Just like Brie Larson has essentially disappeared because the Marvels failed. Now, you remember that big push that we were getting before the Marvels failed for Brie Larson because she was the queen of the MCU. And now suddenly, because the Marvels happened, suddenly she's disappeared. Rachel Zegler is going to disappear. And I wonder if Anthony Mackie is now going to disappear as a prominent figure. Now, I know Chris Evans has said that he's not coming back as Captain America. As much as I can't stand Chris Evans, I do think he's a fantastic Captain America. And I also don't think that he has anything else going for him because he's not a movie star. So he should come back to Captain America. But he probably, in his left-wing mind, he probably thinks he's being racist by coming back to Captain America, so taking that job away from Anthony Mackie. That's probably how he feels his, white privilege is getting him the job. So he probably is staying away from the role from that perspective. I don't know. But ultimately, I don't think you're going to see a lot of focus for Anthony Mackie's Captain America moving forward.
$80 million. And that's just like Snow White, with a 1-year delay and additional heavy reshoots, rewrites, re-VFX, everything else that we had heard. All the stories appeared to be very true. So between Captain America, Brave New World, and Snow White, Disney is starting roughly $500 million in the hole for its 2025 theatrical slate.
Let's
now you
go.
have to ask yourself, is there anything on the horizon that can generate so much cash for Disney that they can overcome this?
I don't think so. I mean, you've got the Fantastic Four. I think that there is potential for the Fantastic Four to do okay. I just don't think it's going to. And then you got Thunderbolts, which I think does not look like it's going to do big numbers. Now, they've had some surprises. Obviously, they had surprises, with some of their films, with like Moana 2 and Inside Out 2 was a huge hit. I went to see that. I thought it was good. They've had some huge hits for sure, but I don't know, based on what we have for the rest of this year, I don't think they have anything.
It doesn't seem terribly likely. Yeah, Lilo and Stitch is probably going to be a big hit.
I forgot about
if
that. Wait,
movie,
does that come out this year? If that comes out this year, that's $1 billion movie. 100%. I think Lilo and Stitch is $1 billion movie. And I'm not even a fan. I don't even know if I've seen the original. If I have, I saw it in passing. So I'm not really a fan or anything like that. But I thought the trailer looked okay. There was nothing overly offensive to me in the trailer. It looked good, and it looked like a typical movie that's going to get families to show up because it's Lilo and Stitch. The trailer looked good, and I think it's probably $1 billion film.
he turns a profit of, say, $100, $200 million. Well, that's only getting them partially out of the hole. And then you've got other movies coming up like Thunderbolts, which have a big question mark
Does
on
not
it
look good
as
to me.
how that's going to play out, considering what Captain America Brave New World just did in theaters. Do we really expect Thunderbolts to outperform a Captain America film, even with not Steve Rogers in the main role?
I was about to say Valiant. That wasn't even really a Captain America film anyway, but your point is noted.
Pixar's Elio, a question mark. We'll have to see how that one fares this summer. It's way too early to tell what the audience response is going to be for that one. And as we get down later into the year, the Moana live-action remake may be a hit. You might have something with Zootopia too, but again, when you're already starting $500 million in the hole, that is a very deep hole to climb out of. And just to give you an idea of,
I guess that Moana live action, because The Rock is going to be in that, and which The Rock is hit or miss in terms of, there's a perception that The Rock is a box office megastar, and he's not. He is a star, and he has star power, and he has name recognition. But if you look at his track record, I mean, let's just go back to his, what was that? He was with a DC film that he had that absolutely tanked, that no one cared about. The only thing that they were talking about was, it's a Black Adam. Black Adam. They were talking about Henry Cavill. That's all they were talking about with that, and it tanked miserably.
how big a $500 million hole is for Disney for the entire fiscal year of 2024, which ended September 30th of last year. Well, they made $7.6 billion before taxes. So a $500 million hit to start out the calendar year of 25 in the theaters is a massive, massive issue. Snow White really has nowhere to go from here, thanks to Minecraft opening, and it's going to swipe most, if not all, of the premium large format screens out there, including IMAX. That means the big money train for Disney right now, with families going to see these in premium screens, and yes, they do. They may go to matinee shows, but they are paying those premium prices by and large for this film. That's going to go away. So in other words, if Snow White managed somehow to have the same number of butts in seats next weekend as it did this weekend, where they earned a little over $14 million, that same haul next weekend would probably be closer to 11 or 12. But don't kid yourself, Snow White's decline is fast and sharp, and it's going to keep moving downhill. I really thought during the week that I would wait for the weekend to see if this was really going to be a weekend-loaded type box office, but it wasn't, scoring $1 to $2 million during the weekdays with about a $3 million bump on Discount Tuesday. The weekends really didn't overperform nearly the way they should. A near 70% drop is something that for any movie should be terrifying. However, there are extremely rare exceptions like Christmas Day openings, but that's not what happened here. As of right now, Snow White is probably going to finish somewhere north, slightly north, if lucky, of $200 million. I think it will leg out a little bit past the Marvels, but not by much.
The fact that it's going to barely beat the Marvels is incredible. A lot of us, now I don't know what Valiant's bottom line on this movie was before it released. A lot of us anticipated 350 is probably the bottom for this movie in terms of its worldwide gross. 350, that's what a lot of us were discussing. And Valiant, I know he's probably going to watch this, so he can, in the comments, he can say what he thought his bottom was before it released. The fact that this movie is going to barely beat the Marvels is truly catastrophic. Holy shit.
Because there just doesn't seem to be anything left in the tank for this film. Snow White really is something spectacular to behold. And by that, I mean spectacularly awful. Having lost really its entire production budget of $300+ million at the box office. This is not a crown that Disney wanted to be wearing. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And
shout out to Valiant Renegade. We appreciate Valiant. And of course, he got mentioned here in this article. He deserves credit. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. He's a friend of the channel, a friend of Geeks and Gamers. We appreciate him. And he called it. He called it. And a lot of us called it, but he was the first one that called it. And again, this is what happens. You find a group of YouTubers that you trust. And listen, we're not going to be 100% accurate all the time. We're giving our opinions and we're doing as much research as we can, but we're always going to be honest with you. And Valiant and a lot of these guys out there are grinding, trying to get this information, crunching the numbers, and all we can do is look at the information that's out there and give you that information. We are not bought and paid for by the studios. It's never going to happen. And that's the difference between us and these bot farms that Valiant mentioned, like Culture Crave and Disgusting Film and all of these other trash Twitter accounts and these trash websites that are just in. All they're doing is they're in it to get access. That's it. Thank you guys for checking out this video. Make sure you go to metapcs.com. Use the promo code 199 if you're looking for a new computer, a new laptop, a new PC. Whatever you're looking for, they have everything over there. Promo code 199. We appreciate it. Guys, have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video. Subscribe to Valiant Renegade, and we will talk to you later.